Okay, and I'm gonna so this is the June 16th, is that right?
18.
18th, okay. June 18th, 2026, and with for the power of the pen, Linda Larson's discussion of her chapter on the signatures, and were you going to do things with the personal pronoun I?
Yeah, I'm doing a combination.
Yeah, so it was on signatures and the personal pronoun I. And now I just wanted to give a little introduction here that Linda's been with AHOF, I think, I mean, almost as long as it's been existing, at least
Before
about like
carbon. Yeah.
Sheila. Yeah, and very active in and throughout the years and very active now in the committees and just as well as sharing her knowledge around with lectures and just a strong member in every way, as well as leader of AHOF. So, Linda,
Thank you.
go ahead.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
Allegedly. Allegedly. Come on. It's not sharing. Uh, now, why isn't it sharing? Because I practiced this 1,000 times. Oh. Um,
So, so maybe do you
wait,
have your thing open, your app open?
I do.
Okay. Yeah,
There we
you
go.
got it. You got it.
Now let me
Oh,
move you.
wait. It's
Gotta
the
move you. Gotta move you over. Now, share. I don't want to
okay.
share that. Now, okay. This is being recorded. Okay, we got that. Um, and where did that go? My notes. I didn't want that. Well, what
So
happened?
is it in a full screen or um let's see.
Jeez.
I think I can help you. Go back, um close the sharing
Wait,
and go back to the original screen and I'll
I've got this.
oh,
It
okay.
said to share screen. So then it goes to my,
Okay, yeah, so the app that's open, which one you look for the window that if you've got your app open that you're going to share, it should
yeah.
have a window there. Now
Well,
that um uh see, this is the Zoom window. Is it in a the one of the tabs?
I don't know what that means.
Okay. Is it on is it a standalone on your computer? Does it just open up on your computer or
It's supposed to just open up, and now
okay.
I've got
Is it
this
it,
in my way.
it opens
Oh,
whenever
there it
you
is.
there you go.
Okay.
Yeah. You just have to get the right window with it that
Yeah.
that's you've got open.
But where is my play? My play.
Um
My play. I've only done this a million times, and I don't know where the play is. Well, play. There we go. You just have to
okay.
diddle around with it. Okay, there.
There you go. Yeah.
One of
Okay,
these
you
days,
got it.
I'm going to get it right off.
Oh, well, this is good practice.
Yeah, well, every week. Thank
Yeah.
you for your patience. So, when I was telling Victor when I was reading through my chapter, in the in the Power of the Pen book, I was horrified because it clearly was not edited at all, and that's my fault. And it was I would just redo the whole thing. So anyway, that's the way it goes sometimes. So signatures and the personal pronoun I are two things that are misunderstood often by American analysts, more so than European analysts. And here's my theory on the personal pronoun I, is that it's a very strong indicator of the writer's attitude towards himself and fellow mankind, people kind. It
Yeah.
furnishes leads on his action and reactions, as well as his environment. The fact that it is a very strong indicator does not imply that an interpretation can be given on the shape of this letter alone. As in all other interpretations, the overall personality of the writer must be considered first. This is why the personal pronoun I must be considered a secondary aspect in graphology.
Mm.
Um, the aspects that may corroborate the personal pronoun I, or maybe not, or may disagree with it, can be, and there are more than these, but generally, what we're looking for is comparing the personal pronoun I to the mid-zone height, the height
Mhm.
of the small I, the left and right trend. The lower zone gives us a lot of information in that. Spacing, especially between letters and between margins. It should be words in there. Well, all three of them, letters, words, and margins. But margins are a big tell too. And the signature. The signature will give you more information, actually, I think, than the personal pronoun I. Bertha Brown, who was an AHA, the American Association of Handwriting Analysts, which started just before AHAF started, um, where she showed this image here, and talking about the Palmer capital I, which starts at the very bottom, and I still can't bring up my cursor, but you see at the bottom where one is, and the Palmer I starts at the bottom. And the Europeans, of course, don't typically use, except if you're a Russian, they have a one letter as the acrylic um, use of a personal pronoun I, but Europeans in general do not, overall do not. So when you start at the bottom, it's a beginning a stroke, and it's supposed to kind of balance you, give you some support. And then it reaches up into the upper zone and comes around, and the size of that loop in the upper zone, which is considered the mother influence because it comes out of the first stroke, then down, forward into no, I'm sorry, into the father influence because it moves back into the past and then moves forward to the future. So that little area in between the two mother and father influence is the child, was considered the child, or
Oh, okay.
that integration between
Mhm.
mother and father. So that's kind of old theory.
Mhm.
Um, Modern day, which came out of the Danielian um, um, copybook, and the Danielian copybook, which started. Well, there's some disagreement because Ruth says it started in Michigan, or he was from Michigan, but my understanding was that it was first presented in schools in Texas, not that it matters. But they started on the horizontal where the red little arrow thing is. And they come around because that's the first stroke. The bottom area is the mother figure.
Mhm.
The middle area is a zone of integration. And the father figure is the upper zone one, which in theory of handwriting or graphology makes more sense to me because mother is shown in towards the past, towards the left, and mother figure, I should say, and father figure. We don't just say this is father, this is mother, because we don't know who those people are. The father figure could be the person at the school, the boarding school, or for the mother figure could be. I had that happen one time, where she said, "Well, I didn't live at home with my mother, and the person that was more of a mother to me was the lady that oversaw the boarding school." But it is the integration that is where we look to see the growth of the individual and how they fused those relationships.
Mm.
The personal pronoun I, according to Roger Rubin and Dr. Christian Detweiler, um, because Roger's the first person I heard say that the personal pronoun I was a secondary indicator. Um, it wasn't primary. Man, he pissed a lot of people off. But nonetheless, what he was talking about was based on a lot of what Christian Detweiler, who was a really significant graphologist. And if you haven't read anything by him, I really suggest you do. Let me know, by the way, if you haven't read anything by him, I can send you papers, or we have them in the library too, the HAF library. Um, so there may be Roger said that there may be some validity that the relationship with parents or parental figures can be seen in the personal pronoun I, but it's not to be considered a primary expression of the parents in the handwriting. The things that are forms, lower zone and upper zone letters, rhythm, vertical and horizontal movements, left and right trend,
Mhm.
and margins, spacing, and the signature.
Okay.
All of the above and more are indicative of the writer's primary parental figures, whoever they are. And so, first of all, in order to deal with the personal pronoun I and the signature, you want to consider the entire writing. And for that, we look at the obvious aspects, which are layout, dimension, pressure, form, speed, continuity, direction, signature, um, a general over a general impression of the total personality is established. The way the personal pronoun is formed takes on a significant meaning. In other words, how it is.
Yeah.
So, and the signature, and as both Chuck and Kathleen know, I'm a big fan of Rana Nizzo's. And what she says is wonderful about the signature. It was just really eye-opening and helpful to me because I have a friend in Lena Flori in Spain, who's the one who said, I don't know why Americans only think that signature is like a coat or like, it just is your public image. It's so much more than that. And it is. It's far more than that. The signature can never, but with that in mind, the signature can never be interpreted as an isolated sign. Although she does say, well, at the bottom, in case of disparity, the signature is preeminent. It is the key to the writer's real personality. Woo. and and inner life. And the reason that that is because we write our signature more than we write text, especially in these days. So our signature, we still do that even on those awful grocery store pads. Um, we write our signature more often than anything else, and that is why it is more natural to us, even the illegible ones. So going back to, but it can never be interpreted as an isolated sign. And yet at the bottom, she says it can. And I have used it as that. The quality of a handwriting are not decisive without the signature. Whatever is deciphered from the handwriting may be confirmed or rejected by the signature. And I'm going to show you some of those. And in analyzing the signature, we consider the size, the style, the legibility of it, of course, embellishment. Not that isn't seen all that much anymore, except for the if you really screw up the signature, well, not screw it up, but just think it looks better with a whole lot of additional loops and flourishes. The pressure, which is not often thought about in comparison with the text of the writing, a heavier signature um, is a writer who would avoid compromises and fears confrontation. If the signature is lighter, the writer retreats into the comfort of his privacy, and social contacts threaten his self-confidence. And that aspect can indicate a dislike for expression of feeling. And if the speed is greater than in the signature than in the writing, the writer will want you to think that they are more adept at what they're doing, or you have that they're more confident. And slower speed in the signature is trying to master impulses and reserve, um, or show reserve or defensiveness. And I often have told this story about the FedEx lady that would come to my door every week, and instead of dashing off her signature, she would draw each and every letter as clearly as she possibly could. And I asked her, I looked at her and I just said, it's just so unusual for a FedEx or UPS person to have such a careful signature. Why do you do that? She said, because I want everyone to know exactly who I am. I don't want it mistaken. And I actually told her, I bet you don't get home until really late at night. She said, yeah, I don't. Well, because she makes sure everything is done thoroughly. And we used to say the location of the signature was important, but that can be a cultural thing. And now I'm not so sure that we can say that anymore because it's, I don't know, whatever you want to do. Um, the signature tells four elements of aspects of, or can tell four aspects: the vitality and emotional memory, the writer's evaluation of himself and future desires, the degree of reliability and morality, the writer's family history, the summation of his childhood, personal history, the degrees of attachment to memories, past happiness or misery, all projected into his future. I don't know why I wrote CCC, but okay, I had a good time. So, what I'm going to show you pretty much all the way through are personal pronoun I's and signatures. Um, in this signature by Darlene, the top one, she has a typical Palmer method signature. And while the writing is not very developed, well, it's not developed. She had a very good relationship with her parent. I grew up with her, and she had a very good relationship with her parents. Although her mother was an Italian mama and was forever in her face, um, but the signature itself shows that what you see is what you get, and the personal pronoun I shows you the same thing. The writing is a little stressed. She had four kids, younger kids at that time, I think. Um, and it's just not very developed writing. So this is a gal that very remarkable, very nurturing. She was meant to be a mom and nurturing people, and she does that still with all of her grandchildren. The fellow on the bottom is in his 30s, was in his 30s here. He printed on the top and then gave me the Maggie and I are going to Europe on the bottom. Now, he said he had a great relationship with his parents. If you look at the writing, it's kind of uncomfortable. The rhythm is not very good. He was writing on a table, but he was leaning over. Um, but his signature shows us that he has an issue with the the name of his family name. And you show that extension out that shows you mind your own business, keep your nose out of my business. Um, he's willing to at least show his first initial, and I don't know what the last name started with, but it certainly is one that suggests there's a reason to stay away from the family, that he doesn't really want them intruding. He's Asian, by the way. And there were many more Asian samples in here from this group from Adobe in the Bay Area that Sheila and I did a series of conferences for. Um, this writing on top, Suzanne, she's an attorney and a good girl, as you can see from the persona writing. It's very careful. It's very slow writing. So what we know, the signature is even slower and very arcaded and very retraced in the letter forms so that she keeps a lot to herself. She wants her image to sell her. Um, and so and it's very important. She's very attractive, and it's very important for her to look a certain way and to act a certain way and to be seen a certain way so nobody could criticize her. But you notice her personal pronoun I looks like a clam. So, and in our experience, when I say our, Sheila and I had gone over this quite a bit, that when we see that kind of clam form, it's like a person that grabs on to another person when they finally allow themselves to get close to another person. So it's like clamping down. Um, and the voluminous loops in the lower zone tell us that she's a very creative person and she's got a lot of ideas about what needs to be done in her world. But there's also a huge that the loops are always creativity or emotion is what some other people say. But in the lower zone, then you have the unconscious part. So it's a voluminous um, loop needing emotional support. I mean, it's not dependent, which is interesting because I thought it would have been given the roundedness of the other forms. But she's got a whole lot of creativity and and she also does a lot of worrying about things she has no control over. And control, as you can see from the signature, which is almost looks like it was done on a straight edge. It may have been. Um, and those people need to have it look like they're in control at all times because underneath that is exactly the opposite, a whole lot of chaos.
Linda, I have a question about the personal pronoun I there. That
Uh-huh.
like where does it look like it started from the top at the top going with that or at the bottom going that way?
In this case, I happened to see her write
Uh-huh.
it.
Yeah.
So she started this one at the top.
Okay. Okay.
So that would be the mother.
Yeah, the way I understood it was that the initial area or loop where it starts is the mother figure relates to the mother figure, where it ends relates to the father figure. Whether
Yeah,
it starts at the bottom or the top, it's just
that's right.
okay.
That's right. That's Felix Klein. He definitely yeah, educated me on that one.
Okay. So so this would seem to be more that the because it's starting at the top, there's more of almost a loop at the top.
Yeah.
She has more influence from her mother figure.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. Is that,
Yeah, the
yeah.
femininity is there. And
Mhm.
then if you look at the signature, the last name, I'm not sure that could be a married name, but it's less prominent than her first name. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. The next one, Barbara, at the bottom here, is 71 years old. And she has a kind of a variety of different, well, not a variety, but she's got three different personal pronoun I's. And the first word in her sentence, and then on the second line, and then on the third paragraph, or the second paragraph, sorry. So it's squeezed on the first uh, personal pronoun I, and it's more open. But what Barbara does is she's very, very rigid at the top. So it's a rigid, angular form, which can show a resentment um, or an anger at that person. And what I can tell you is that Barbara has only ever, I've known her a long time, spoken wonderfully about both of her parents. So the personal pronoun I, and I'm sorry, I did not include her last name, which is consistent with her first name in terms of the height of the capital and
Mhm.
legible. Um, but it's very uncomfortable writing, and she's a very shy person. But still, the personal pronoun I gives a number of different messages here, as opposed to what she says and her brother say. She and her brother both had a very good relationships with both their parents. And I don't see that in the writing particularly, but I don't know. I'm never quite sure what to do with those two. Um, let's do the second one, the red one first. This is an unusual personal pronoun I. The writing is larger, and it has an awful lot going on in the mid zone. It's very uncomfortable in the mid zone. And it's really interesting what her signature does. This is a female. Her signature, Katrina, you can read, but the last name is somewhat of a guess, May, but it leans to the right, kind of bending over to get away. It looks like it's trying to get away from the first name. I don't know what to make out to make of the personal pronoun I. I think it starts at the bottom and then
Yeah.
comes around to the top, and then makes that squiggle makes a definite retraced wall.
Me, like the last name is like trying to pull the first name forward.
Well, that's an interesting. Yeah, I can see where you'd see it say that. Yeah, because it's got a little loop in there saying, "Come on."
Hmm.
Uh, but there certainly is a resistance in the personal pronoun I. And the other
Yes.
problem, yeah, the other problem with this writing is how little self-knowledge the person seems to have with all of the convolution in the mid zone. So she's got a lot of cover loops, a lot of overlooping in throughout her ovals. And the writing is not developed well at all. It's getting there, but it's just like holding back. So, and of course, when you have the loop in what I'm assuming is an M in the last name, that I mean, I really am assuming that's an M. That can be one of the aspects of worry, and because it's an undeveloped writing and there's a lot of creativity in the loops and the lower loops and in there are some pretty good loops throughout the writing, so that she's got a good imagination. So she may be imagining what her childhood was more than what it was. That's a guess. That's a guess. I
But,
didn't go ahead.
I'm looking at her A's, like in Katerina. The first one looks pretty open, but the second one is kind of hard for me to see, but it looks like it's retraced or blocked on
Yeah,
both sides.
yeah, yeah, it does. Um,
but following the personal pronoun I, like we were talking about, the big loop is the would be the mother figure, and that little tension at the end would be the father figure. So, the influence by the mother, I think that's the feminine imagination that you were talking about. But she's got this tremendous tension related to the masculine influence. And I think, I mean, that would be the psychoanalysis to go through about where there's tension in all of her writing as it relates to her, her even though she's got these lower loops, they're sort of uh they're sort of immature,
yeah, they are.
know? But there's a tremendous imagination there, but it hasn't
Yeah.
really moved. So there's some interesting do you see what I'm saying? She's probably got these tensions in relationship with men as a result of that's what I would
Well, yeah,
because of that tension, if she's really has this difficulty in her,
here's another possibility
okay.
is because where she begins the personal pronoun I,
Uh-huh.
there's a little hook, there's a little barb. So
Mm-hmm.
that might signify the mother figure going up to the loop, might signify the
I,
father figure, and there might be a stepfather
mm, uh-huh.
who she didn't have a good relationship with. That's a
That,
possibility.
I
That's
see,
because so
I
she
see what you're
definitely
saying.
has a barb. Yeah, she
Yeah, I see that. There's tension right at the beginning. So even her uh uh female figure is not really um has isn't fully nurturing. There's some
right.
tension, some issues going on there. Wow. Yeah.
And okay. And
Well,
then the
and the idea of a kind of a third influence that was
yeah,
very difficult. Okay.
that's the theory.
No, no, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The top one is an interesting writing. And the personal pronoun I is, I mean, it is so devoid of anything that speaks to kindness in his childhood. Um, and the rest of the writing is quite intelligent and passionate and really passionate, but that is a consistent capital I, personal pronoun I. He makes them both the same. And so it's a tent, which is open at the bottom. And so, all of the nurturing fell right through is one way to look at that, I suppose. But it is a very passionate person. And just to kind of speed it up here is Keanu Reeves, the actor, who he was writing this to thank a South American uh, the South American police, as I remember, who helped him with a robbery that he had at a house that he owned down there, something like that. And but this writing shows you how um, the resentment. I mean, you look at that first line of writing, the first three words, and he's carrying a lot of resentment. And his childhood was really, I mean, his life has been really tough. It's been really tough that his parents divorced when he was really young, and there was a whole lot of emotional abuse. And the father would call him stupid and ignorant and lazy and all of those things. But this is how uh, he kind of presents himself. I guess if you want to get back at your father, that pretty much says it all to me. with the barbs and the straight down stroke. As Reeves, that's an R, and there's a whole lot of emotional baggage there. And still, he is a wonderful actor. So now, what is very interesting that I found out accidentally when the personal pronoun I first started coming out, I did a talk, a little tiny talk for three special, what were they? They were advanced classes. And the kids were about 8 and 9 years old. And these were kids that were, um, at a higher level. They were learning at a higher level. This wasn't one of the people, of course, this is an adult. But the personal pronoun I she makes is an interesting one. It looks like a lowercase L or a large E. And almost all of well, I should just say many of these kids, otherwise I'm exaggerating, had this L. And I asked each and every one of them, when did they start writing like that? Nobody could remember. They just liked the way it looked. And to me, it balances on the left, that's the mother, the person, the writer is in the middle, and the father's on the other end. And interestingly enough, Barbara McMiniman, who some of you may remember, um, was an odd duck, but she had some really interesting theories, always interesting theories. And she decided that that a good personal pronoun I should look like this. And that really pissed off a lot of graphologists too at the time. I remember her lecture very well. Um, but these kids, I thought it was very interesting that these kids just thought that that was the way to do it. And they figured it out for themselves. And when I asked Cynthia here, what her relationship with her parents was about, and she said, "Oh, it's great. Yeah, I
Mm.
enjoy both of them." I mean, but her signature down at the bottom it has a straight line off of it. So, and if you notice that even though she starts with the L, the one on the right the father figure is a little shorter than the one on the left, which may be significant of what she does with her signature, which is a keep your nose out of my business. So here's another interesting combination of, this is a lady who took one of my classes many years ago. And her personal pronoun I look like, um, I don't know. I don't know what it looks like. Um, a musical note, right, Chuck? Sort of. But it's very devoid of much in there. And it's very small compared to the other capitals in the writing. If you compare it to some of her smaller eyes, like in things, that eye is small also. But the one in Kitty seems to be larger. Exceptionally below that is smaller. So that can often tell us, along with the height of the mid zone, how the person actually feels about themselves. If you don't have a personal pronoun I in the writing, you can look at those things, and hopefully add a signature to give you more information about the person.
So where does it look like it started? Um,
Well, in this case, because the woman at the time she was 35 and I was probably 40, so she probably would have been taught the um, Palmer method. And to directly answer your question, I don't know.
yeah.
I would assume at the top, come down and go around.
Yeah, I
And
was thinking at the top and then go around, but then as I was looking, it it might even be two different strokes.
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
I think it does come down to the baseline
okay.
and then, well, I see what you mean though. Huh.
There's something that I mean, I was just, it, that, um, the little loop seems to extend just a little further. Um, and I'm
Yeah.
not quite sure how that connects. You see what I
Well,
mean? I,
yeah, except
yeah,
that the downstroke at the beginning is in the upper zone is thicker and then
right.
comes up and it's thinner. So there would be less I'm going to say pressure, but I don't mean pressure because we
Huh.
still
I
have
know what you mean in the flow. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, I was thinking it was the downstroke was the first where it started. Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah.
think I think so. So it's a person that feels or actually was an emotional or orphan. In this
Mm,
case, she had a horrible relationship with her mother.
mm,
Um, and actually what for some reason I was doing her handwriting. I was analyzing her handwriting and a group of people came up afterwards who knew her very well after she had left and said
mhm,
she was pretty much a pathological liar. She absolutely would say anything to anybody to get by. And she really had a bad reputation amongst this group of people,
mm.
which I don't necessarily see, but if you're pathological, then you're not going to show up much stuff in the mid zone.
I'm
Okay,
thinking
go
uh
ahead.
the image looks kind of like a D, and in the D, whenever there's a separation between the the downstroke, the extension and the part the round part, um that there's like issues with the integration of the ego, which is what you're
Yeah,
talking about. That's the,
yeah.
you know,
And the
the
writing supports that. The writing has a lot of thread in the mid zone.
which makes me wonder about, like, that's why I was wondering, wow, is that was that even one single stroke? That might have been made with two separate strokes, I mean, two separate, like she did the downstroke and then she made the other stroke and they weren't really connected.
Uh, I think they are connected, but
Uh-huh.
could be. I would have to blow it up.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah,
I,
I'll do that.
I, the,
I'll
and that would relate to her difficulty, I mean, the compulsive line relates to ego integration stuff.
yeah,
That,
if that's true.
yeah.
But I mean, there were like three people standing there telling me stuff like that, which I thought was odd. Um, and these are also from Adobe, these three people from the Adobe office that I did the analysis at. The first one, she's Asian, and is she? No, she's not Asian. Um, the second one and the third one are these are all females, right? Right. Am I right? No, I'm not right. The first two are females, and the last one is male. So they all have the eyes that we commonly see that in the straight stroke. And these in this case, these are people that are in their 30s. Um, and so you have a writing that is the printing with pretty wide spacing. I mean, the spacing, of course, the spacing is wide in the first writing, and the signature is very get it down on the paper and go away. Um, but the writing doesn't support that. The writing is slow and deliberate. And so there are two different messages here that you're getting. But the message is carried out with the personal pronoun I in the Roman numeral because what it says is that I'm independent. and I don't want people bugging me with the spacing. Somewhat of a perfectionist, but still the writing, the signature says that it very much clearly, get out of my way. I don't want you in my face. I don't want you bothering me. And her comment was that she had been married for about a year. And what bugged her the most was to have somebody in her face because her husband was always coming into the kitchen when she was cooking and she couldn't stand it. She wanted him to stay out of the kitchen, which I thought would go along with her writing anyway.
Yeah.
The second one is called a person that obviously gets along with people more easily. But the personal pronoun I tells us what the signature tells us essentially, which is the extensions, the horizontals on the PPI are extended. So that's called I really want you to stay away. She's independent because she stays away from her parents because she wants them at arm's length.
Hmm.
That's how she is independent. Otherwise, she kind of has some needs there. She wants to create her own world, and that last stroke in with a document cloud, the D there coming down inappropriately into the lower zone, is one of being adamant with the writing itself being very clear and straightforward. What she said should be clear enough, and she is more likely to want to have the last word. While the
Hmm.
signature suggests she wants you to call her Amanda, the last name is absolutely annihilated. So she doesn't have, and the personal pronoun I is disconnected on the bottom.
I, it looks like it's closer, but also disconnected on the top.
Yeah, there's more of a connection on the there yeah, there may be more of a connection on the top, but it's disconnected definitely on the bottom. Of course, this is a small amount of writing, so
Yeah. But, but that kind of reinforces what you were saying. I mean, that supports what you were talking about keeping at a distance. The
yeah,
parent kept at a distance or being independent. That makes her more independent.
right. Right. In her mind anyway.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
and yeah. And then the last one here, the bottom one, not the last one, is an interesting one because she's got a Roman numeral also and a somewhat of a resistant slant, um, very pulled over to the edge of the paper. He doesn't want to go forward. Of course, they may have just been deciding they had dropped the two sentences down the way that they were written as a sample to write. But the signature itself is what's so interesting because the gobbledygook all over the place is the guy's name. He starts with the wiggle, 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 and then it looks like a maybe G, and then da 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 all over the place. And
Hmm.
that last stroke that comes down, he said, is his parents' name.
Hmm.
Now, so that's where the personal pronoun I um, because it's balanced within the structures of the other of the text that he wrote. So it looks like it's appropriate. I wouldn't see that there was any issue particularly with the parents there, but in that signature, what you're seeing is a lot of absolute. He not only crosses himself out and doesn't really value himself at all, but he just leaves his parents out in I mean, well, they are surrounded by one loop, but it's just very devoid of any emotion. Where did we go here? There, thank you. Or any connection other than they're in that loop. It's a sad signature to me.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
well, it's so different from the writing.
yeah,
Oh,
It
that,
is.
yeah.
It's so overwhelming.
Hmm.
And so he wants to be seen, of course, in this case, and he sees himself as having as being very talented and very he should be given more credit for what he's done.
Yeah.
But he sets himself up for failure. It's very self-destructive because he crosses over himself so much. Whoops,
It looks very slow writing too. Very, yeah,
tortured.
yeah, yeah, that's good word.
It is. It was very, and again, I mean, these are people from Adobe who say, I don't know if I can write. Well, I said, you actually write on little notes every day, those
Yeah.
post-it notes. Oh, well, that's true. I do. But actually, even more now, I find people, my grandsons are saying, I don't even use those. I just use my phone. Said, great. What are you going to do when you have to read the will? So, anyway, we've got this writing, which is large. And of course, we see that personal pronoun I is stabbing through the what we call the father figure. I don't remember how old this person is. Um, I don't think she was at Adobe. Yeah, maybe. But anyway, but the personal pronoun I that is printed like this in a 30-year-old is or 35-year-old is made the same way. You make the downstroke and then the horizontal at the top and the horizontal at the bottom. It's not a reversed form in my experience anyway. You might have a different knowledge of that. What's really interesting about this writing, other than the fact that as she goes down the page, I like to have people sign their name 3 times. She loses the L into what looks like a Z, but it's supposed to be an L. And the further down the page, the more you can't really read the last name. So the stabbing through the I makes sense. The other thing that's very interesting about this writing is um, what's the word for it? Spattered the ductus is. The ductus is very poor. It is on the G's, if you look on going, there's a lot of weakness in the ductus. And so that her health may not be so hot. Also, she's got some issues. If you look at the D's in the signature, at the top of those D's, the ductus lightens up so much, so it looks very sketchy. Again, the health problems, it may be migraines, it may be something going on with her head. Uh, so that was kind of interesting to me, but I didn't ask her about it. And these are both writings from Adobe. No, yes, these were writings from another computer company. And this lady at the top, very, very attractive woman, and very much of a perfectionist. She's got some interesting spacing that is volatile a little bit. It doesn't, Maggie is separated from and the rest of the words are closer together. So, um, because she's more of a perfectionist, and this suggests, although the connection may be more of the father, um,
Hmm.
um, she's got feminine down. So when I see that, often it's women that know how to motivate men, manipulate men in a way because they use their femininity in a way. And the signature suggests she's very straightforward to the point. Absolutely, this is what I want you to know about me and get out of my way. And don't bother me with silly talk. Or she's very much of a businesswoman on one hand, but she's very emotionally not very, but she's emotionally immature on the other. And so it's very, very rounded. And the guy on the bottom sat down and slapped this out, and it's heavy pressure. You can see that he doesn't have a whole lot of flexibility. And what you see is what you get in his writing. But in his signature, he was more reluctant to talk to me. And I said, what's the thing about your dad? His name was Mark, I think. What's the family name? He said, you're not, oh, I get along with my dad. I really love my dad. I said, well, it seems awfully heavy, this extension out on the G, and it is a lowercase g. Oh, well, I just had a big fight with him. And so I told him that anger stays in the handwriting about 72 hours. And you can see it by little barbs and little ticks in the writing because you're ticked off. And it always amazes me how that follows through. And while you can't see him very well, I should have again enlarged this writing. But I have an arrow on the what fun we will have there's a little tick on that. And there's some on the H, um, and just here and there throughout the writing, which are very hard to pick up on this. But that extension, the pressure on the writing gets heavier as he moves to the right. So then we have this. I'm gonna skip
Sorry,
this one.
Linda, can we go back to the previous one
Yeah.
above? I'm noticing the D on the top one looks like a P in two of them.
P? What?
The
On
top
and?
writing,
Yeah.
the signature, the D, looks like a P.
Well, I don't know that it's a D. It might be a P. How do you know that it's a D?
Because I don't know, the second one looks
Well,
like a
the
D.
second one looks like a D.
Yeah, I don't know. I I'm not sure of that
And it's
because
interesting because the slant in the signature is different than the slant in the writing. I don't know if you
yeah,
mentioned that.
yes, it is. And so the signature is the way she wants to see herself as moving forward, and she wants others to see herself as, get it done type of person. But when it comes down to it, she does one thing at a time. But I can see what you're saying, but you've got two letters that represent the last name that look like P's to me. So it may just be a shortened P, which is what she does in Europe. It's a very short P form.
The other thing that's curious about the third one is not only is there an extension on the downstroke, but the horizontal one actually looks like it's intersecting.
It is, yeah. And by the time people get to the third signature, they dash it off most often. So they're not paying as much attention. So that might be a more subtle indication of what's really going on with her.
Yeah, it's actually the line is invading the oval part of the D or P or whatever it is.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
I wanted to just
Okay.
point out we're
Yeah,
at the top of the hour, but
yeah.
it's fine.
Well,
We depending on what you feel, Linda, we're okay. Okay for anyone who wants to stay longer. We
yeah,
we
I've just got a few more to
Yeah.
do. Um,
Okay.
and both of these were interesting signatures. Both said that they had great relationships with their parents. I didn't believe either one of them. Uh, because they're very demanding and they both had very heavy pressure, which was hanging on. But then this one is especially significant because of what the formation of the personal pronoun I and the emptiness of that P.
Wow.
I mean, it's just so empty and so full and such a balloon of wishing that there was attention there, is my interpretation of that. He said
Yeah.
he didn't see his father very often. And then I wanted to show you this, which is very interesting because it's two twin sisters that are A and B. They are at an and kitty corner to each other on diagonal, and the husbands. And so the two sisters had a different twin, identical twins, as a matter of fact, had a different relationship with the mother. Now, the my suspicion is the older. Usually, when you have twins or triplets, you could tell which one is the oldest because they have larger writing. I don't know why that works, but it works every time. And so the Dear Fred and Lucia writing is would be the older one and have that oldest child framework. But the younger twin has a lot more neediness in her writing, and her personal pronoun I is one that can fall over, just like the let's see, the husbands. So they're both pushovers, which
Hmm.
is a problem for them. And wait, I've got this wrong. Okay, the the two on the top are the females. I got that wrong. No wonder I got it wrong. It looks like a female on the bottom there on the right. But the two on the top, they both say, Dear Fred Lucia, dear Mrs. and Mrs. Callis. Those are the sisters.
Okay.
And okay, so you can see that the personal pronoun I's are different here. Um, the men who are on the bottom are interestingly matched. The I think A and A have a better chance of making it than A and then B and B. Now, Mr. Y is really needy and really undeveloped. Um, but interestingly, they both are pushover people, but because those eyes can be dumped right over. And the wife in B will be definitely the one to be in charge and tell him what he likes and tell him what is going to happen.
Hmm.
Where the first writing, and the third writing are more collaborative. They will at least talk to each other on the same level. She's a little she's a little goody, but I think more able to develop as she goes along. Um, and then there's one last thing I just wanted to share with you. I've got two. This should be on one paper. Now, I'm sure
Oh,
guys have seen this. If you've seen this, this is from Charlie Cole a long, long, long time ago, and I'm going to rework it um, and so that it's more usable. Um, this was put together by Charlie and a psychiatrist whose name has been left off the backside. The backside is written by the psychiatrist and a psychologist, probably a psychologist, and the front side by Charlie Cole. And this was with regards to um, children's writing or the margins on a full page of writing. And the theory here is that you hold the paper up and see where the left side of the writing pulls out or how far over the right side of the right margin moves. And those are the needs that are met or not met by the child. And it's interesting. I've never been completely convinced of uh, using it, but then you don't get a full page of writing very much anymore. The theory that Charlie writes about here, uh, that follows through. That makes sense to me. It's right along any graphological theory. Um, and so as you go down the page and you get to the bottom, he says the basic needs which must be supplied by the parents are recognition, truth, and responsibility of values. What the child doesn't need is to be called stupid or hopeless or to be overpowered or cornered and told they're not good enough. So this was just something that I found really valuable, and you could add to your collection of things when you look at a full page of writing. And since people don't write that way much anymore, it is hard to work.
So Linda, when you get that ready, you can send it to me and I can put it with the on the recording with the YouTube thing
Okay.
to be able to
Okay.
connect it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one page.
Right.
Okay. And so, anyway, that's it. That's what I've got. Okay. Any questions?
But I
Yeah.
um can I get a copy of those twins and husbands? That looks fascinating.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of information in there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I will scan that to you.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah,
Linda,
I'm not
you said
clear
something
which
about
one is the husband to the sister. Which one is which?
Well, it's marked. This and the top ones are the sisters, the bottom ones are the husbands. And husband, husband to this one, husband to this one. Okay. Chuck, did you want to say something?
yes. One of the first samples, you said that it was kind of a curling PPI
Oh,
that was one indication of somebody who would latch on
yeah,
to another once they felt um,
that one.
comfortable. Yes, that one. And I was just noticing that the word spacing is rather good on
Yeah,
that sample. And I wonder if somebody had much wider words, they're wanting a connection, and yes, they're kind of pushing and pulling at the same time.
yeah. It is a mixed message, but then so is the writing. The writing is image. The writing is wanting you to see something and not wanting you to see the need, not wanting you to see how correct she needs to be and how in control she needs to be. So underneath on a ruler writer like her signature is, you have an ocean of turbulence. Um, it's the exact opposite of what it looks like. So that's where the neediness comes from.
Oh, yes, good. Thank you.
I mean, I could see if you had wide spacing, I think you'd have to see other things in there too, because that neediness would probably be, I would expect with this amount of neediness that you'd see some left trend in the lower zone.
Oh, and the top one has those curled W's in a couple of places, three of them.
Though just about every one of those lines are just like they're straight as an arrow.
Yeah.
See the,
Yeah.
um, uh, even not just the signature, which you can really see, but I really see it in what fun we will.
Have.
Yeah.
Yeah, with one we will. Yeah, and what you also see is in have here. When you
Mm,
look at the A, it starts at the bottom and goes all the way around. It starts at the bottom from the H
uh,
and then goes all the way around. And so it's a really remarkable um, um, what do you call it? It's the
like a seat or
like a secret. I mean, this is a disguise
mhm.
of and the it's a deliberate misleading of so that it looks very open when in fact it's controlling all of those emotions. They're all very, very tightly woven in there, but there's nothing that she's going to show.
There's also the width of the ovals that are wider than they are
Yeah.
tall,
So
and
what,
several of them, especially Maggie, the letters touch,
yeah. So what does
and
that
then
tell us?
that's another wanting to hang on or get closer
Right.
Mm.
emotionally.
Yeah, and
But then
again,
the lower loops uh, can't quite get to the to cross over, can't get up, and they get much lighter
Yeah,
in
much
in
lighter.
Maggie.
Although
and
there could be air strokes in there.
and again, there's very different slants. It's very upright, and the signature's right slanted.
That's right. So you will see me this way. I demand you see me this way. And I will look perfect and I will act perfect and everything will be in control. So you cannot criticize me.
Mhm.
I mean, and I'm going to do what I want to do. She's independent in her own way while being extraordinarily needy underneath the surface.
Mm.
Have
Yeah.
you found any research about the Cyrillic Ya? Because I've been looking and I haven't found it.
Well, the research, I don't know that there's research. I've just seen samples of it.
Yeah.
Um, but that's, you know who would, there's a group of people in Iceland Iceland or where? No, well, who are the group that Sheila gave a talk to recently? Was that
Uh,
in
No, hold on.
Norway? But
The
there's a, yeah,
country. I remember. Um, I
Finland was the
don't have
only one that was
it.
Russian Empire,
well, yeah,
and none of them used Cyrillic.
Mm.
yeah, the Cyrillic personal pronoun I, which I
It's Ya.
cannot, it's what?
It's Ya. It's like a backwards R.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
I know Russian.
Yeah. Oh, well, that helps. Um, huh. Well, I haven't heard
Yeah. I'll keep
any
looking.
that are waiting for you to do it. I
Thank
mean,
you.
if you look at the theory of handwriting, it would have to fit in there somewhere.
Okay.
So, huh. That's fascinating. Well, you know,
So
because of
where did you get the modern interpretation from? Because I only learned the old interpretation of the eye.
oh, of the Danielian
No, of the eye, the idea that the mother's on the mother's top and the father's bottom.
yeah. Well,
Where
this is from what's her name? Green. And
the,
something Nugent Green.
you're the one who wrote the book, my your
Personal
personal pronoun
pronoun.
I.
Yeah.
But
Well,
where's the other one from?
the other one comes from the Danielian copybook. So
Hmm.
we had to rearrange what we were looking at in terms of that. Um,
Hmm.
Of course, you know that Carl, what's his name? Henley. I forget his first name too. Henley, but he still writes about the copybook that
Hmm.
Jane
Hmm.
Nugent Green
Hmm.
writes about. But I
Hmm.
don't know that anybody really has a information about the personal pronoun I in this form, in the reverse form. But it just goes along with the theory, which basically Felix Klein is the one that said doesn't matter where you learn to write, because sometimes people with Palmer method
Hmm.
start their
Hmm.
personal pronoun I the opposite way.
Hmm.
It's where you start that is the
Hmm.
mother figure.
Okay, very
So
interesting.
Yeah, if you look at it that way. And the zone of integration is always left out. But anyway, there you go, people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It's great to meet you all. Well, I didn't really, but hi.
I close the share and we'll just we'll end with everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess I can.
See, I'm still stuck in that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Now
Debbie?
there. Oh, I don't think you've closed the share yet. It'll. There's a let me see. Linda's. Um, you're still sharing the screen. Let me see if
Oh. Wait a minute, stop share. There you go.
there. Well,
I have to talk to Val again. I swear it's my life's work.
you should. Yeah, you should be able to say stop share.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. I
Well,
think
there,
back the there. I think there was some other window open. Anyway,
there was something that popped up.
yeah, I closed it. If anyone has that, I think you can. I, I think I just fixed something like I said that anyone could, any participant can share, so you can control it.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. And I'm sorry about the cut. The audio was cutting out. Um,
Debbie, did,
yeah, no, that,
That's me. I don't know if anyone else had it.
hmm.
oh, no, Kathleen said hers was fine. So you're on your phone.
And the recording will be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Oh,
is so Kevin's here. Was
where's
oh,
Kevin from?
am I seeing everybody that was here?
There were four, five.
So I'm gonna stop the recording. Stop recording. Okay.